Yo, what's up? John Fitch. John Fitch knows nothing. Happy Father's Day to all you guys who are doing it. We're the best. Right? For you guys that haven't done it yet, stop pulling out and get on with it. It's the best thing you'll ever do. Do it. Have kids. Have lots of kids. We had fights. We had a lot of fights over the weekend. Some boxing fights that were notable, and I actually caught the PFL on Thursday. And I haven't caught a lot of PFLs because Thursday is kind of an off day for me to like sit down and watch fights, and I never know when the fights are going on. Even though I follow all those social medias, I still never know when the events are. So I got lucky, and I noticed there was one, and it was earlier in the day, so I watched it. Not bad. But it is weird. It's a little weird. All right, so that's what happens in a monopoly. When one entity controls the market, like the other ones have to get real gimmicky. They have to be gimmicky to show like, oh, we're different. We're not, we're not the same. We're actually better. And they can't do things the same way because they can't compete. You can't compete with a monopoly. That's why there's antitrust laws. You can't compete with a monopoly, and the products always dip and get worse when monopolies exist. So I understand what they're trying to do. They want to do something different. So they got these little quirky tournament things and points, and they use that to manipulate and sell to the investors. They keep getting more and more new investors, more and more money goes in. They start not turning any profits. They haven't made anybody money, but yeah, that's the whole scheme. And they can't call UFC a monopoly because then who's going to invest in them if UFC already owns the market? So the big notable fights of the PFL. Right, we had the two big heavyweights. Who was it? Dennis Golstov. Right, he made it through. Right, I think he had a fight against Thiago. Was it Thiago Silva that he fought? I had it up here, but now I think I lost it. I think that's what it was, right? It was Dennis Golstov beat Thiago Santos. I'm sorry, Thiago Santos. I haven't seen Santos fight in a long time. He's huge at heavyweight, but he was a big 205-pounder. What was this? Yeah, it was heavyweight. Yeah, because it was heavyweight in the girl fights. But Golstov looked good against Santos, but I mean, Santos has looked kind of been done since John Jones after that fight. Like he hasn't really showed up to that same level. But Golstov with the win. I'm not familiar much with Golstov because I have been watching a ton of PFL. The main event, though, I've seen these guys fight in Bellator a couple of times, so I recognize both of them. Linton Vessel and Valentin Moldavsky. He's one of Fedor's guys. And it was pretty surprising to see Moldavsky lose in their rematch. But he did get caught. Vassal is long, strong, and he's an old guy like me. So I gotta support him. But this is where the thing gets screwy is he wins the decision. It was a good fight, back and forth fight. I do think that Vassal did win that fight. He had a number of good moments where he had hurt Moldavsky, I think, where there was visible What I saw was damage. I think he knocked him down with a knee. Can't remember what round it was. But he, I think, was winning the dance. And I'm okay with him getting the decision. But because he didn't win or finish in the first round, I think, I was trying to pay attention to what they were saying, that he gets dropped from the tournament, though. So he doesn't get to move forward. And somebody else gets to go forward in his place, right? Moldavsky keeps going forward. That's weird. That's just weird. I understand, they're trying to reward the knockouts. They're trying to reward the stand-ups. They're incentivizing it more to finish, to take bigger risks. I get that. I don't know. I don't know if I like it, because if you're fighting for a tournament, fighting for $1 million, you handily beat somebody, but they get to go forward, and you don't. Does Vessel keep getting to fight this year, or is he done? He's got no more fights for the year, because that would suck too. It's like, oh, I gotta wait for the next tournament to pop off before I get to compete again, before I can make any money. That's garbage if that's the case. If he's able-bodied and can fight another time this year, like, he should be allowed to. I don't know. How's I got nobody in the comments. What's going on with the comments? All right. I gotta check. Is there a way to check your people who've been muted or taken out, whatever's removed? Because I had somebody saying that they got removed and they don't know why. And I don't know why they would have been. But I gotta figure that out. So those are the two big fights that I paid attention to. The heavyweights. Brian T's in the house. So they're pretty good. So I don't mind PFL's product production. They do a good job. I'm not a big fan of any of the hokey, just PR, push everything smiles and rainbows. I don't know. I'm not exactly the Larry Merchant, like crap on everything style either. Somewhere in the middle. I like Chris Lytle. Like, if everybody could do their commentary and stuff like that, I'd be happier. Just tell me what's going on. I don't need the bells and whistles. I don't need the story. I just need the fight. That was PFL. And I'm not exactly sure when the next event is. I think it's part of the tournament. I don't know if that was the first round or the second round, or it's just different weights, and I think. I don't know. We'll have to pay more attention this summer, maybe. Yeah, Liz Carmouche also had a fight. That was a fun fight, actually. I remember. Nice armbar finish at the end. That can be hard. That can be a hard finish at the end of a fight too. No. Get Chris on. Actually, I was on his show. I went on to the Lights Out podcast with him and Mike Davis. But it'd be good to chat again. Oh. Then what did we do? Should we go to the UFC or the boxing? Because the boxing was pretty damn great. But it's dead. It's dead. What are we talking about? Something dead. We're talking about Ghost. We're going to talk about Ghost. I haven't seen Benavidez fight a bunch. but I was happy that I managed to catch this card to get to watch him a little bit more closely. And he's definitely good. Excuse me. He's definitely good, and he fought a larger. What was it? Gavazdek, Gavazdek, I think. He went up to fight Gavazdek, who is 37 years old. He just outpoured the punches. It was just, I saw one stat come up at some point. It was like twice the volume, twice landing, twice percentage and accuracy. He was just too much. He was just too much. The whole fight, it was kind of a little bit closer in the early rounds, but definitely pulled ahead and just poured it on him. Which is, I wonder if if he was holding back because the guy was bigger and had power. He didn't want to risk it. But I feel like he had plenty of openings where he could have hit the juice. He could have hit the juice and escorted his opponent out. But what do I know? So what's next for Benavidez, right? Benavidez, he's a killer. Yeah. Oh, here's the CompuBox punch stats. Total landed, Benavidez was 223. Gavozdek was 163. So almost doubled. Oh, I guess Gavozdek did end up throwing more. 521 to 699. But Benavidez was at 43%, 43% accuracy with 23% for Gavozdek. 23% was not shooting well. Jabs thrown. Oh yeah, Gavozdek was throwing a hell of jabs, but missing a lot. He landed 18% of his jabs through 311. Benavidez threw 172, landed 35%. Way more power punches by Benavidez. And Gavozdek was thrown with big power the whole time. It looks like he threw 388 power punches, but only landed 28% of the time. So maybe that's why Benavidez was a little bit more careful, because that guy was throwing bombs with everything. So he made sure to make him miss as much as possible. Yeah. That was Benavidez. So let's get to the Benavidez and Canelo together. Why not? He may be up for the winner of Beterbiev and Bivol, and Canelo lost to Bivol. So, Benavidez has to move up to these bigger weights to find the bigger money fights, to chase the belts. All he's got to do is keep winning and get the right matchups. They just need to make the Canelo fight happen. Come on, Canelo, let's go. Come on, pass the torch or beat him. Do it. Then Tank, Gervonta Davis. He was just a step ahead the whole fight. He was Frank Martin. Tank was making him miss, making him pay often. He had the southpaw style, so he was landing those lefts. And a I feel like he was setting him up for that knockout combination, that knockout series of punches that he threw, because he was ready for everything. He did this like soft hook to draw his hands up. You know, he must have caught that sometime throughout the fight, that he would throw that lead hook and the hands would come up, or you go the two hook and the hands would come up. So he kind of pawed at that hook and hands come up, and he goes left hand, plants his feet, left hand straight down the pipe, and that was it. That was it. I'm wondering if he noticed that like 2 rounds, 3 rounds earlier. It was like, nah, I gotta wait. I gotta wait for him to open up a little bit more. I gotta convince him to raise those hands up. Davis knocked out Garcia, who's been stealing a lot of headlines in the past months with his behavior. And he looked good, man. Good. Now who they're talking about? Haney? Is that it? I saw Mayweather was posting some sparring videos of Tank and the other guy, Devin Haney. Is that the fight they're trying to put together? Is this Lemachenko may be available for for Tank? That would be fun. Lomachenko and Tank, that'd be a good fight. Shakur Stevenson is out there too. Denny's Baranchik, maybe too. I haven't heard of Denny's. I don't know Denny's. I'd be more scared if his first name was Waffle House. Dad joke. It's my day. I can do it. That's the good old Tank. Tank's fun to watch. All right, so I guess we'll get into the. Should we get into the UFC? You guys want to go off on? At least we'll go through the card real quick, and then at the end we'll get into the all the other stuff. Okay, how about that? I think that'll be good, because there's not a lot. Honestly, there's not a lot to talk about. No, and people need to get out of their feelings. You can be critical of performance or a show or a style. It doesn't mean there's hate. You're hating on, what's the hate from? That's not hate. It's like, hey, I think his jab is a little low. It's not hate. It's an observation. Okay. There's a lot of people who get emotional when you observe things. You can't say that thing that is whatever. Yeah. I've broken down like technique, and people get butthurt about, well, so and so won this fight with that, so it must be good. Like, what? It has nothing to do with the blueprint description of what's going on here. Why are you being emotional? It's like their favorite guy used a move, so now that's the magic move, and no one can touch the magic move. Don't besmirch the move of awesomeness. Where is it? Where's the fights? Okay. Yeah, early prelims. My first fight. Was this the first fight? Oh, no, what's the first fight? I got a mouse in the house. Sneezed. The Milkazel Costa is always fun to watch. She's pretty fun to watch. She's a good fighter, tough. They gave him a handful. The Nerdabeki, this guy was a deal. He was a deal. He was always in Costa's face. He was always pressing, trying to force the grappling, making him work. But Costa was able to get a late, third round submission. He kind of weathered the storm and got to where he needed to. But it was good. He looked good. But he's had a number of UFC fights, and he's still swimming around the first fight of the prelims. I feel like he is, because it is not a sport, it's entertainment. It is. It's entertainment. That's what it is. They try to say, oh, sports entertainment, but it's not. The business model is entertainment based. Okay, so it's not about winning so much as it is entertainment. So this guy, it's fun to watch. So why is he the first fight on the card? He may not have won. He's only got 7 losses. It's not terrible. 21-7. What has his career been in UFC recently? Nice select. Lost to Thiago Moises. His win over Lingo. Lost to Steve Garcia. Beat this guy. So he's hit and miss. It's like lose one, win one, lose one, win one. Is that just this year, or is there more years? I don't know. This Google tool doesn't seem to be working as good as it used to be. But yeah, Costa, fun to watch. Good performance. Weston Wilson made quick work of Jekka, the first round armbar. Jimmy Flick and Manus. I didn't pay attention to this fight a lot because it seemed like another one of those bad kickboxing fights. Like I want to watch mixed martial arts. I'm not here to watch bottom tier Muay Thai, small glove Muay Thai. That's a whole other thing I can watch. And there weren't many names on this card that I really recognized. This was one of them, Quinlan and Fugit. I was expecting a much funner fight, but these guys fell into that kickboxing thing again. And I'm just not as into kickboxing, straight kickboxing. Like mix it up, hold and hit, put them in the fence. Asu Alembiev wins the decision over Jose Johnson. Hatzlin gets a submission over Armfeld. He took some hits. Before he was able to secure that arm. Showed some resilience. Almeida versus Kumba. And he looked big. Almeida looked big. Looked like he was carrying some size with him. And he was just staying out ahead of Kwamba just enough all the time. He was landing bigger punches, more volume, it seemed. But he just didn't punch the ticket. Douglas Silva de Andrade. Miles Johns. Miles Johns with the decision win. And then the Perez and Taira fight. Tatsuro was tough. He looked good. I missed the days of Japanese MMA and having a lot of different Japanese guys like Sakuraba around. But this kid looks tough. He's trying to emulate the Killer Bee. We didn't talk about the Anderson Sonnen fight yet either. No. It's a circus act. But yeah, these guys were evenly matched on the feet. I think maybe Perez had a little bit more power, but Tsuro was able to get the takedown in the second and work for back control. And then he had the body triangle. Perez gets up from the body triangle, and Tsuro is able to use a technique that I've used, a lot of guys have used before, where you take the other leg, you have the body triangle, and the other leg goes behind their knee because you can create leverage and pressure on them. And if they stand up, you can kind of destabilize their base a little bit. He did that to him. He did it to him in a way and leaned his body back in a way that Perez ended up falling back awkwardly on his right knee and popped the knee. So it was some good control he was working from, and Perez standing up to get away, I think ended up putting himself in a bad spot. When you stand up, like, yeah, the guy has to hold on to you, but you also don't get to use the ground as something to scrape that guy off of. You don't have the ground and that pressure. You don't get the top pressure and put it on him. I think you want to stand up and power bomb him once. It can work, but I don't know. I think you're not in a great position to stand up when they're on your back. I think you need to get them in front of you first. I know some guys are able to do it, but I think percentage-wise, I think you're better off of bad things happening if you're able to use the ground. All right, so that was the fight night. Okay, now let's get into all the other stuff. We got a new fight next week with Robert Whitaker because Chimaev is out, and Chimaev, his career may be over. Like he was seriously considering retiring after he got COVID in 2020. He got really sick, and then he got pressured into coming back, and he didn't have a great performance. He got tested a little bit, but it looked like he got a little bit tired. Could be related to respiratory issues. So instead of Chimaev and Whitaker, we're having Ikram Aleskarov, who he's been to AKA before. He's a big guy, and that's the fight. So we'll see. Is Whitaker trying to make another run? Is he going to run through Ikram, or is Ikram going to be the guy? Is he going to work his way to be the guy, the middleweight guy? I don't know. I see here too, Sergey Popovich is fighting Volkov. Man, that's a fight where two guys could like fall over the cage into the crowd because they're so tall. These guys are monsters. Kelvin Gastelum's fighting also against Daniel Rodriguez. Okay. So this is a Johnny Walker, Oizdemir. This is a card. Yeah, this is a card. This is interesting. After this last one was kind of ho-hum, this one is going to make up for it. What's happening to my... sorry, guys. Let's see what's popping up on my... All right, so other news. I told you so. I told you so. I told you so. Conor McGregor is done. He's done. He's not fighting again. They know, and they've known for a long time that he's not fighting again. He's done. He's not fighting. They've known it for a very, very long time. They are lying to you. They're milking money away from you, trying to get you to pay for these things. These people who paid for the pay-per-view, paid for tickets, paid for travel already, they knew the whole time. People who paid to watch the reality show, The Ultimate Fighter. The sponsors, everybody involved, UFC, Conor, they knew. They know. They knew. He's done. He's not fighting again. He's done. He is done. I don't think they told you the truth about his injuries. I don't think he told you the truth about his healing processes. I feel like when I see him and he's operating in the world, he looks like someone who's carrying a heavy burden, and he's probably coaxing that heavy burden with the cocaines and the booze. It's just could be wrong. I'm sometimes wrong, but I'm mostly right. I'm okay with being wrong. I'm okay with being proven wrong. I don't need to be, I'm not emotional about it. I don't think you should be either. Okay. But I don't think he's ever fighting again. I think his leg injury was catastrophic. I think he had a catastrophic injury to his leg before he went into that fight. And they knew about it, and they were all just crossing their fingers that whatever pins and needles and duct tape they put on that leg, it would hold up. And it didn't. And now they're like, oh, man, what do we do now? We just weekends at Bernie's. They're doing a weekend at Bernie's deal with Conor McGregor, right? They're stringing up and around. They're putting him in fight shorts. He's being pumped through all kinds of gear to try to heal him up. I just don't. It's not happening, and I think they know it's not happening, but they know they can make a lot of money off of dangling that carrot. They're dangling a carrot out in front of you, and they're separating you from your money. A fool and his money will soon be separated. Something like that. Right. I'm sorry. I don't mean to upset you or hurt your feelings, but I think you're being played the fool, and they're taking your money. It's just how I see it. Zach loves cats. The answer is because it's not a sport. It's not a sport-based, merit-based, principled sport. It is entertainment. Well, sports entertainment. Dorks. It's not a real thing. It's one or the other. Entertainment, which means the path to the title, the rankings. Those things are not merit-based through sport. It's all your Q score, how popular you are. That's what matters in that. It's no different than WWE. The guy who gets the title in pro wrestling is the guy who they're going to make the most money off of. Hulk Hogan was not the greatest pro wrestler there ever was. He was not the most technical, but he made the crowd pop, and they loved him, and they ate it up. And it was still real to me, damn it. The fights can be real, but man, when they're controlling the stories so heavily, like they're selling you products, and those products are not always what they're telling you. And then when I watch these shows, like everything is so heavily dominated by gambling now. Everybody's so and so's whatever picks for whatever gambling app we have. These are the top picks, and those guys, they're not experts, but they put on a suit and I'm such an expert. Just taking your money, fooling you, tricking you. Oh, he's on the camera and he's got a suit on. He must be knows what he's talking about. Yeah. Yep, Brian T. They took Conor out of the USADA pool and then got rid of USADA to get Conor back on track, but it's not happening. Yep, it wasn't enough. It's not enough. Yep, 100%. So Zach Loves Cats is saying that Demetrius Johnson said he was at an after party with Dana White, and somebody asked him who the greatest pound for pound fighter was, and he said Conor McGregor because he has the highest pay-per-views. Yeah, these guys, that's all they see is money and numbers. That's it. They do not care what's actually good. They were bragging. He was talking about his most proud moment as a promoter. This was years ago. His most proud moment as a promoter was selling Ken Shamrock, Tito Ortiz fights. That was it. Because there was no reason for Ken Shamrock to ever be fighting in the UFC at that point. He hadn't won, he lost like 6 fights in a row or something. There was no reason for him to be fighting Tito at the level Tito was at. that was those fights were as good as fixed, in my opinion. They were as good as fixed. Right? There was no intention of Ken to actually win those matches. He never had a chance, an honest chance really to do it. I don't think his health was there. His age was not there. They all knew. But I don't know. Or at least Dana and Ken knew. I don't know. Tito, he might have kept in the dark. Let him believe. That way he would still get mad at all the insults and not mess it up and say the wrong thing. Oh, Dana White is a whole bunch of things. Dana White beater. That's not even allegedly. Alrighty. So yeah, there's some good fights in the next UFC card. But yeah, so I told you so. Conor's not fighting again. I think they've always known. I think these reporters, these news people, these so-called journalists, they're not. There are no journalists out there. They're PR people. They're all PR people. They have to work with and support the fight promoters on some level because they won't have access to the fighters. They won't have access to the shows. They'll get cut out. They'll get strangled away from anything that aids them in making money. So they have to toe the line. They all do. They're all PR. None of them are adversarial, right? There aren't very many adversarial people out there. That's why I'm here. I'm not here for clicks and likes. Super chats are nice when you give them, but I'm not making any money off of this. This is a net loss. But I'm frustrated that no one else is talking about any of the things that I talk about. Not mentioned once ever anywhere. I haven't heard anybody talking about like Conor being done. I think that Steph that John Nash does stuff with Steph Haynes. I've done interviews with her way back when. But I think she has mentioned a few times. I think she believes also that he's done. But I don't see anybody really making much noise about it. Everybody's kind of hush hush. Nobody's talking about any of the other than Jason Vermis. Nobody's talking about the sexual assaults. Nobody's digging up any info on any of that stuff at all. And if they do, it's always like something negative about the person who was assaulted or whatever. Very, very, very weird. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, Ariel. He's Mean Gene Okerlund. He's playing a role. I think he's content with playing a role. He doesn't want to be a journalist. He wants to be Mean Gene. Everything's pro wrestling, man. No, Jones did not have his heavyweight title. Aspinall has an intramural, whatever they call it, intramural, championship belt, and yeah. Zach loves cats. What do you think about inactive champions like Edwards and DDP? Well, in the Ali Act, under the Ali Act, the champion must defend his belt once every 12 months against the number one contender. So, what do you think happens if they can't do that? The belt's vacated, and then two other guys, number one, number two guy, will fight until the champ can come back and fight for his belt again. Keeps things moving kind of nice, doesn't it? They may have contingencies in there for injuries, but most injuries shouldn't take a year. You know, even knee and elbow, shoulder surgery. That's like 3 to 6 months, 9 months at the most. That gives you, 3 months of training camp. I think you could figure it out. Yes. Move, bitch, get out the way. That is ludicrous. Defending an interim belt, it's horseshit. You're fighting, you're literally fighting for a number one contender type rank. That's it. You're fighting for a rank, and they just gave it a belt. Why don't we give everybody in the top 10 a belt? It was like different amounts of rubies in them. Oh yeah, let's do that. Well, there's too many titles in boxing. Still works. I mean, John Jones is an individual who can fight when he wants to, right? Injured, whatever. But the title needs to be independent. The title needs to keep moving. It's prize fighting. That's the whole reason the ecosystem exists. Is because we're fighting for titles, right? Don't get it twisted. The money is interesting, but at our heart and soul, like, we want the titles. We want the rank. We're trying to be the best. We want to be the best one. We understand that, yeah, we need to make money too, but like I don't know, man. A true path to me is the person who's doing quality work towards being the best, right? Not just making money. I don't know. I don't think that that's a very, I don't know. I don't know what the word is. Wholesome, righteous, godly. I don't think it's the way to go. I think chasing the money and just fighting for the money makes things a lot worse. It doesn't mean you don't get paid. You should get your 50%. Right? The fighters collectively should get 50% of what the show makes. But like, it's not just about fighting for money, because then you can spend your whole life like a Jake Paul. He's not really chasing greatness. He's chasing money and notoriety. I don't think that's going to end well. It burns out or you crash at some point. I never went dirt bike riding with Islam. No, I'm kind of a klutz. I'm kind of worried about dirt bike riding. I'll do a 4-wheeler because it's got 4 wheels on the ground. I'd be more comfortable with that. Yeah, title comes with pay-per-view points, but I'm just saying in general, guys. Use it as a metaphor or whatever. The title. It's not just, the UFC belt or a championship belt in fighting. It's whatever that goal is you have. I'm going to be the richest guy. If that's your goal, like, you're probably going to end up in a bad spot, not happy. You might have the money, but the rest of your life might look like crap. Why I say it's better to focus on, it's like, I'm going to be the best computer programmer in the northern hemisphere or whatever, however you want to rate those type of things. I want to be the top salesman in my region, whatever it is. Right? I think that's where your focus needs to be, because I mentioned this the other day on the Real Zero show. Like, I met the guy once that was a championship yo-yo guy. He could do yo-yo tricks and he would win competitions. He had a good life. If you just pick the few things that you're really passionate in, develop some skills and get after it, like, that's so much more rewarding, and it's going to end up paying you back way better. Just my 2 cents, guys. Just my dad advice on Dad's Day. Was Pride FC any better? And better in what? Better in a sport? All of them were a little bit better back then. Like, UFC has gotten worse over time. And part of the reason is because there was competition. There were places you could go. If you were a top fighter and your promoter was not treating you well, you had options. You could go somewhere else, make similar money, and get a title that was as respected, because it was smaller bubble, smaller pond, smaller set of fans. They're going to follow you to other places, where nowadays people kind of get locked into that one organization, usually UFC, because that's just the one that's been around the longest. But that situation, most contracts back then were 1 to 3 fights. So, like, you didn't have a 9-fight contract. You weren't stuck with these one group for a long time. And, they're fighting you once a year. You got a 9-fight contract, and they fight you once a year. You're stuck with them for 10 years making crap money. Like, remember, those are like $3,000 bumps, right? So you start off at 12-12, and it's 15-15, and 18-18, 21-21, 24-24. And that's only if you win. Say you go, 5 for 4. Like, you only got that, $3,000 bump a few times, 5 times. You're not making a lot of money. If you're trying to live off of that, you're gonna have to have a second job. Like, but that's just yeah, man. Yep, happy Pops Day. I mean, AMS says, was actually surprised that Dana White increased the fight night bonus to 6 figures, to be honest. How much are they making compared to what these fighters are making? 14 to 17% of the money goes back to the fighters. They can afford to go way higher than 6 figures for that, and it wouldn't even affect them at all. It wouldn't hurt the bottom line at all. Like, it's like, man, you're in a third world country, and instead of a penny, you gave a kid a nickel. You're like, I'm such a good guy. Look at me giving nickels out to these kids. I'm such a good person. While you have like $12,000 of ones in your pockets. Like, come on, man. No. I think Islam will beat Edwards. I think he might. I don't know how I don't know if he's big enough, but I've never been around Edwards. So Edwards might not. He doesn't strike me as a big welterweight, so it might not be a bad matchup size wise. And I don't know, like Islam and what's his name? Who's the guy that Edwards beat? Why am I drawing a blank? Usman, is that it? Yeah, Kara Usman. That's a big guy. I think that would be a handful for Islam. I still think Islam could probably beat him, but that would be at least something exciting, because there hasn't been a lot of exciting stuff happening in the UFC MMA world as of lately. There is the PFL Bellator merger that happened. That was big news. Conor coming back, that was big news, but now he's not. We got Piera and Jiri fighting again. Okay, I think that'll be good, because last one, I don't know. I thought, did you guys think, is this the wrong fight? Was that a little bit of an early stoppage? I thought it was kind of early. Like he was in a weird spot, rolled back or something. Maybe I'm mixing up fights. And then in other news, we'll finish off with in other news, the judge in the class action antitrust case on Friday the 12th rejected the agreement for settlement. He looked at it and believed that the settlement amount was far too small, considering what was at stake. He approved a $800 million to $1.6 billion lawsuit. So for him to see a $335 million settlement proposal, he was like, what is this, peanuts? What is this, peanuts? This seems like far entirely too little amount of money for the league class. What that means, I don't really know. I'm going to reach out this week and get some better explanations from the lawyers. We got some text from it, but they're kind of like, they don't know either. They got to talk to them. So in the next couple of weeks, we'll get some more information. But what it could mean is the judge isn't happy with that settlement amount. He thinks it's garbage, and that'll end up forcing the trial. Might have to have a trial. It could also mean that he's going to pressure the UFC into coming in much higher than the $335 million. I'm not really sure which one's going to happen. A big reason why the settlement happened is because, for one, the leverage was not there, because the UFC made all the new fighters sign waivers that they would come across any disagreement. If they had any disagreements, they'd go to one of their judges, or one of the city judges. What do you call it? Why am I forgetting that word? But they also made them sign waivers for class action lawsuits. So you couldn't join a class action lawsuit when you signed with them as part of the promotional agreement. So for some reason that was made legal. One of Trump's judges said that's legal for companies to do, to force somebody to sign an agreement saying that you have to go to arbitration and you can't join class action suits. I don't understand how that's legal, but it's legal because that judge said it was. It doesn't seem like it should be. Like, you should be able to sue and take someone to trial if they wronged you, if they broke the law, if they damaged you. It seems like an American thing to have, is a chance to sue them. But now you can't. You have to go to an arbiter. You have to go to a judge. It's not their judge. Somebody correct me on the Instagram. It's actually the city judges. Like billionaire corporations don't own cities. Oh yeah, it's totally fair and legit. When the majority of their money and the tax revenue that goes to them for their job is produced by casino owners, I don't think they're gonna go against the casino owner. Just a hunch. Yeah, Spencer's had some. He's one of the guys. He's one of the guys who needs, some of the settlement money. That's why we. It's another reason because some of these guys need it now. They do. They've had 10 years since their wars. Whatever little money they might have had is kind of run out, and the damage that they put themselves through, the damage that they took while fighting, is paying its toll right now, making it difficult for them to earn money to fix the medical problems or to live. AMS, Dana White did not testify in court. We didn't go to court. He did do depositions. He did get interviewed for hours, being asked questions. Yeah, Trump is a big roadblock for the Alley Act. We actually would have the Alley Act now if it wasn't for Trump having his guy, the lead whip, bury the vote. He buried it so it wouldn't come up and had to get reintroduced, and then they blocked the reintroduction. But like we had a hearing. We had a subcommittee hearing. Randy Couture talked, and we should have had it. It would have gotten fast tracked to the Senate. We had a good two-sided bill with Republican and Democrat support. We would have had it. We would have had it. But money talks. Money talks. And when fighters sit back and say nothing and only the money's talking, then the politicians were like, oh, hey, no one's going to care that I take this money and screw these people over because these people aren't even saying anything. They must like it. They must be okay with it. So we sit and wait. We sit and wait 2 weeks for the judge to talk to the lawyers on both sides, see what happens. If we have to reopen negotiations for the settlement, that might be something that happens, or I don't know. I'm not sure. This is unprecedented. This is unprecedented because we are the first case of its kind, this Monsanto type case, to ever get to this point. No one has ever gotten class certification, ever. Excuse me. Made history. That's right. Again. So this is an unprecedented thing. We do not know what's happening. And I don't know. I don't know. It's weird because unprecedented things aren't always good too. Like, yeah. I probably shouldn't say anymore because the lawyers might be upset. if I continue my thoughts, because I might be like, no, don't say those things out loud. Not yet. It's not safe. But yeah, I don't know, man. So it's gonna be weird. The judge may also just be like, I don't agree with your guys' pay in this. So lawyers, you're not getting a third of it. I just don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens from here. But yeah, the judge was not having it. I think the judge may have sensed my feelings because I understand the situations that we're placed in, but it's such crap. It's such crap. It really is that we have to we lose leverage just because of some technicality, bureaucratic bullcrap. That's it. You got stalled long enough for them to avoid serious consequences. It's wild, man. It's wild. And a lot of people are weird because everybody will say well, you signed a contract, you signed a contract, you signed a contract. But then they'll also talk about and stay with me, right? They'll also talk about the COVID shot. the boop boop, right? They'll talk about how that wasn't right because you didn't have true informed consent. You didn't have true informed consent. You didn't know. You weren't aware of all of the things, all of the risks, all the history of that medicine. And to me, taking a forever shot that changes your DNA possibly around, that sounds like a contract, a lifelong contract that you can't get out of. Similar. So wouldn't informed consent be a part of that? Not to mention the leveraging of other contracts and your team's contracts or your friends' contracts, and well, screw this guy if you don't do what we say. Things that are clearly illegal or are illegal in boxing because of the Ali Act, like the contracts are not usable. You would throw them out. They would have to be thrown out in boxing. That doesn't make anybody go, well, maybe there's something wrong with those contracts. Maybe those contracts aren't good. Maybe they aren't valid. If it's okay in one type of prize fighting, but illegal in another, But boxing's dead. Dorks. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Shell's wife might be watching the show and snitch on me. She might. Anyway, should we talk about that too? So I've been talking about, grifters and the UFC using Conor McGregor to steal money from you because they know he's been hurt this whole time and he's never going to fight again, right? Well, what do you think this was? Anderson Silva and Modoc. Modoc had Chael Sonnen doing a boxing match. There's greasing people, taking money from people. Oh, this is going to be a highly contested. Oh yeah, these guys. Oh, they talked all kinds of smack before. Oh, you made fun of him in Dirty Brazil and whatever. Pro wrestling. It's all you guys asked for it. You guys love pro wrestling. You have pro wrestling falling up your butt 24 hours a day, guys. Congratulations. Your dads are proud. Ben Askren said there's no money in MMA. Bull. There's lots of money in MMA. The UFC just keeps all of it. They're just keeping it all. Right? They're embezzling it. That's what's happening. The managers are in on it. A lot of the coaches are most likely in on it. It's an ugly world. It's ugly. It's a cruel world. All right, guys. I think that's it. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you guys coming in. Make sure you guys hit the like, right? Hit the like button. That's supposed to matter on the YouTubes or the other things that you're on. Just make sure you're doing that. Hit the likes. If you guys are watching on Twitter, just go to the YouTube and hit a follow. Just do that for me real quick. I'd appreciate it. They do not like me. And I'm fine with that because I tell the truth. I might be wrong, but I'm telling you the truth. Yeah, well, I mean, with the amount of steroids those guys can take, they're in their 40s. Yeah, almost 50s. They're older than me. They're close to 50. But it, again, makes me wonder. This is a thing I talk about with my close circles, right? How are these people rich if they still got to do these stunts? They still got to do these clown show things, like for money. They got to do a money grab. Look, what are you doing with your life? He made a lot of money fighting. Well, they both did. They both had a ton of fun at fighting. They made way more money than I did. Like, I don't have no desire to go do a circus boxing match. If somebody wants to pay me serious money to actually go out and fight somebody, that's interesting. But like, I'm just going to put on a show and make some money. Like these guys are hurting that bad. I hate pro wrestling, guys. I hate it. It's just a carny scam. We're gonna take money from stupid people. We're gonna take money from rubes. We're gonna pretend to fight. I can't. Ugh. It's just gross. Everything about it is gross. Gross. Ugh. Like, I don't know how you live your life, how you look yourself in the face. Like, what kind of existence is that? I have really happy days. I have a good life. Beautiful girlfriend who loves me. My kids are awesome. Got a cool dog. Like, I gotta make more money and get a Gucci bag. Dorks. You guys are consumers. You guys are nothing but brainless consumers, I think. A lot of these people, man. Stop it. Go live your life. Do some cool stuff. Build something. Make something. All right, guys. That's true. There are a lot of men that love drama. A lot of soy boys that don't think they're soy. Well, I wear American flag and listen to Kid Rock, and I love Trump at UFC events. I'm a man. Oh, man. Zach loves cats. Jake Paul gifted Tyron Woodley a $50,000 watch. It's all fake. If I lost to some douchebag like that, I'm getting a rematch to beat his ass, right? And if he sends me a watch, I'm taking a shit on it and throwing it in the ocean or something. Like, fuck you. You're not gonna, because because I have some mentality in MMA too. Because if you lose in MMA. Like, they took money from you because you only get half your check. So like, I don't know, man. It's just weird. It's just weird. But yeah, I'm not the average, I guess. Thank goodness. All right, guys. Thanks for watching.